We are aliens. It's a strange phrasing because we are the only intelligent, as we would classify it, species. However, we are also only looking at our rock, our planet. It is nearly a truth of the universe that we are not alone. The sheer odds of that, of us being completely alone in this near endless void, or just as possible, us not being alone in this endless void, are equivalent. If we exist, if human beings exist, then in some capacity, other intelligent life has to exist somewhere. Has to exist. We think about aliens or extraterrestrials as potentially hyper advanced species capable of light speed travel, speaking in superior languages. However you want to think about it. We may also think about them as creatures, as monsters. We craft an image that we can comprehend based upon things that we have already seen. So, in some capacity, humanity fulfills itself. We teach ourselves, but we have not progressed far enough into the universe in order to actually have comprehension of reality. But consider this flip side. To those beings, those aliens, those other entities, we are aliens. Because we do not come from the same place that they do. We are foreign. Think about it this way. Here, on Earth, it is possible for us to travel to a different continent, to travel to a different part of the world, to go to the zoo and observe creatures, observe animals in a habitat, in an environment. For an alien, traversing through galaxies, solar systems, might be just as easy. Don't think about us human beings and going into the stars and finding aliens. Thinking about extraterrestrials, superior entities, if you will, in some capacity. Think about them finding us. What will their perception of us be? What of our society and our culture? How will they interpret what we are? We've sent the Golden Record into space, but that is a snippet. We have chosen core fundamentals of what we understand to preserve in the infinite and to provide to whomever may find it. Think about the inverse. Think about another species. Think about them sending out a golden record of their own. How will we interpret that? Let's say that we do travel the stars, we do end up discovering other intelligent life out there. How are we going to interpret their culture? Maybe they also will want to be diplomatic. They will have sent their brightest and finest in their most advanced shuttle out into the stars to find other life. Those who seek to obtain knowledge, to learn and grow. Or consider the opposite. Consider that first contact is made and it's a violent, brutish species. Think about our current norms just here on Earth, just here on this rock. How the way you introduce yourself, the way you acknowledge another individual, to some can be insulting, but in others it is a formality and it is an honor. Interpretation goes a very long way. For many of us, a high five, a fist bump, a bow, even, is a sign of respect, acknowledgement, mutual understanding. What if all of that means nothing out there? What if it means the complete opposite? What if the way that we communicate is so primitive to another species that they dismiss us the same way that we would dismiss snails? Just meh, and move on, not give it a second thought. What if, instead of a diplomatic approach, what if the first species that we come in contact with reflects very much our own? Not physically, but in terms of our culture and our society. Let's say that both civilizations have built themselves on, well, as I've said before, beating each other with a bigger stick. If we just barely achieve that level of space travel, but let's say to that species it's trivial, well, what's going to end up happening? They have a bigger stick. I'm saying all this, and again, I share all of this not because I want to cause conflict or fear or have anyone try and change their mind on something. I merely try to present an alternative perspective. The standards and norms that we have in our life are only that because we experience them as such. Something even as simple as in a household. Maybe you wear your shoes everywhere in the house. Maybe you don't wear shoes or socks when you go around the house. Maybe your day-to-day and your standard in the household is pajamas. Maybe even when you're alone, your standard is dressing up in some nice slacks, a collar shirt, and maintaining that image always. None of these are wrong. None of these are incorrect. It is just what we are. It is just how we are. There's no right or wrong in that. It's foolish to say that there is a right and wrong way of living. At the end of the day, should we not all be living our own way in what fulfills us most? I am adamant that as a species we need to traverse the stars. And not just traverse the stars, but when we pass on, we return to the stars as we are. Maybe to start a new adventure, to be rebirthed into a new norm, maybe into an alien species, or what we would currently classify as an alien species. But to us, that'll just be the norm. Think about this for a second. Here on Earth, what if, as a species, the norm, our years and years and years of evolution, our entire history, our written history, imagine if instead of monkeys and Neanderthals, imagine if we evolved from reptiles. Or what if we evolved from marsupials? Or fish? Whatever you want to say. But take those traits and characteristics. Gills, flippers, tails, ears, paws, claws, maybe a full body. However you want to reconstruct a human in your head with any other component. Go for it right now. Now, every single one of you who just came up with an idea of what a human could look like, imagine if every single one of those collided, and that was just the norm on Earth. Think about, maybe this is a silly comparison, but think about Zootopia. So different, everyone has their own ways of navigating, getting around, their own accommodations. But that's just day to day. That is just life. Would there be anything wrong with that? No. Because to us that would be the norm. Again, we are aliens. This is how we communicate, but maybe another species, another civilization, communicates exclusively through telepathy. They don't have mouths. They have no orifice in their body that generates sound in any capacity because they don't need to. Imagine anything you want to. Any possible way of communication, traversal, anything. Both here on this planet and out in the stars. I guarantee that if it has not already evolved and happened, it will one day. Why do we think ourselves so high and mighty? We are primitive. We're not even a type 1 civilization. It's fascinating the things that the mind is capable of. In some capacity, if you believe that the mind can dream up and think of brand new things that have never been thought or conceived before, you are right. On the inverse of that, if you believe that we can only dream, conceive, and create something that has already been created before, who's to say that all 8 billion of us on this planet are not from another universe entirely? What if all 8 billion of us are here in some capacity in order to bring something here? So that Earth, so that the seed can blossom and bloom with an incredible amount of knowledge and intelligence. Are we embodying that? As a species, not as a single society, not as a single city or state or country, but as a planet, are we embodying that? As I say a lot, I do ramble here. I do go off on some soft or hard tangents. And if you have stayed to the end, I genuinely appreciate it. All of these thoughts, everything that I express, these are what runs through my head on a day-to-day. And I want to share it with others in hopes that I can be a mouthpiece for a larger group. That that I can be a catalyst for evolution. So if you have been here, if you listen, if you continue to listen, I appreciate you. Thank you for the time that you give me, for your attention, for your thoughts and your perspective, whether you share it or not. I appreciate you. As always, thank you for your time.